Now it's my honor to be the presenter for the next award, recognizing excellence in creativity. By way of full disclosure, I am compelled to tell you in advance that my worship of this man is so obsessive and childish that he finds me annoying, and I can't even blame him. He has received innumerable accolades over the years and has always hated doing so, so I suspect I probably annoyed him yet again when I told him I was recommending him for this one. But be not mistaken, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, by being in this room, you are in the presence of one of the most profoundly influential artists of the last 100 years. Probably only one or two other artists in all of American history have had their work seen by more eyeballs around the world. May we have the clicker, please? Thank you. Neal Adams is the illustrator behind some of the most iconic works of art ever reproduced. Neal's renderings of Superman and Batman, among other heroes, revolutionized his chosen medium of comic books and extended to the broader realm of popular art. His mastery of anatomy, facial expression, layout, light and shadow, and background scenery brought an unprecedented realism to comic illustration, instantly marking a quantum leap above all who preceded him. He rescued Batman from the camp and the shtick of the 60s TV show and restored him to being a dark and mysterious creature of the night. Now, Neal's images appear on, and stay with me here, action figures, air fresheners, backpacks, belts, bike flags, bowls, cards, clothes, coasters, coins, games, glasses, greeting cards, hats, iPhone cases, keychains, light fixtures, magnets, notebooks, pajamas, pendants, pins, placemats, posters, puppets, puzzles, stamps, toys, wallpaper, and more. Thank you. Oh, now you're my friends. All right. Truth be told, you could live an entire week using only Neal Adams emblazoned products. Most people, however, like my wife, eventually rebel. Neal began in commercial illustration, and then he moved to comic strips. And among his innovations there was a Sunday strip for Ben Casey that hid a human face in plain sight. With Denny O'Neil, the writer at DC Comics with whom he frequently collaborated, Neal made comics relevant, tackling heroin addiction and other social problems in a groundbreaking run on Green Lantern. Characters that Neal created, such as Ra's al Ghul, seen here peering over the dynamic duo, still appear in contemporary TV programs like Arrow and Gotham. Until Neal Adams came along, in fact, artists generally never dared to work for DC and Marvel at the same time using their own actual name. When Stan Lee asked Neal to work for him at Marvel, Neal asked, "Tell me what your worst-selling title is." "The X-Men," Stan Lee said. "We're going to cancel it soon." Neal said, "Give me the X-Men." And his reinvigoration of that title, along with writer Roy Thomas, helped make the X-Men the powerhouse franchise it is today. Then Stan Lee asked Neal to take on a top-selling title, which brought Neal to the powerful alliance known as the Avengers. For this crowd, no, the Avengers is not a subcommittee on Capitol Hill. The Avengers is those guys. No one ever drew Thor better. As Neal once said, if superheroes really existed, they would look the way that I draw them. And to this day, my own assessment of whether people are good-looking or not reflects the degree to which they resemble a Neal Adams creation. My wife is a Neal Adams creation. Everyone here, of course, is a Neal Adams creation. Neal remains as busy as ever. He is in heavy demand. His reboot of the Dead Man franchise is enjoying brisk sales right now. But you know, we are honoring Neal Adams here tonight not just because of his singular artistic genius, but because he has truly been a superhero-like champion on behalf of creators' rights. It was Neal, in the mid-1970s, who led the campaign for the creators of Superman, blind and destitute by that point, to receive lifetime annuities and recognition in all subsequent Superman books and movies. So when you dive into your popcorn, the next time you start to watch a Superman movie, you will see the words Superman, created by Jerry Schuster and Joe Siegel. There's much more to the Neal Adams story, including his crusade on behalf of creator rights, but I think it's time we heard from the legend himself, someone who helped transform an industry once on the verge of being banned by the Congress into a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. One last word. All of you here tonight, living and working in Washington, you're used to being exposed to a forceful clash of ideas every day while remaining respectful of those ideas and of each other. Neal Adams has some strong ideas about creators' rights. And while you may or may not agree with them, I know you will join me in providing a warm welcome to our 2017 honoree for excellence in creativity, Nefarious Neal Adams.
Thank you, Robin. Okay, I can't follow that. Anyway, hello and thank you from everyone in my family. My wife, Marilyn, who sits over there. My daughter, Christine, who sits over there, and introduced all the comic book publishers, DC and Marvel, Archie Comics, and all those other publishers to printing on something less than toilet paper with printing presses that were used by Ben Franklin. Chris went and shopped printing in Canada and all around the country so that American comic books could equal magazines that were produced by major publishers of magazines. She did it. That's why comic books look the way they do today. I've had some battles with the comic book companies and publishers, and they were good battles. Although I won, they benefited. Because that's the way it is with a good battle. If you fight the good fight and you win for everybody. Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster represented DC Comics for another decade after I got their benefits for them, and they came to all the movie openings, and they did well by DC Comics and Warner's, who were very proud to have them. They paid them, you know, what you'd pay a good secretary, gave them health benefits and took care of them. So that was a win. Sometimes I don't win. Most of the time I win. Because when you go up against corporations, big corporations don't really have a soul. Small corporations have a soul, so you have to look for the soul in the big corporation, and every once in a while well, most of the time it's an individual here and an individual there, and they actually hear your voice, and they cooperate, and you know what? You get to win to everybody's benefit. And that's been the way it's been with me. I don't go to lawyers and I don't go to court. I just fight the good fight, and people benefit, and our industry has grown to become probably the most creative and most blossoming industry that feeds television, movies, computer games, and all the popular cultures of the world. The most popular comic book in India is Archie Comics. Not bad. Okay. It's been my experience that there are good guys and there are bad guys. Most bad guys are self-convinced that they are good guys, no matter what bad stuff they have to do for good reasons that they believe in. Before World War II, in Nazi Germany, Dina Gottliebova, I have trouble with that, Babbitt, at 17 years old, resisted the Germans and insisted that she, an art student, had to go to accompany her mother when her mother was taken to Auschwitz. Now doomed, Dina was asked by other doomed teenagers to draw cartoons to entertain the younger children. She drew, colored Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs on the walls to the children, for the children, to their temporary smiles. The camp commander, Dr. Joseph Mengele, the angel of death, discovered her and told her that she must paint for him gypsies to show that for the world to see that they were inferior to normal Aryan people. Dina agreed only if her mother were kept alive. And so she painted very slowly to the war's end and the liberation by the Americans. She came to America with her mother and settled in California to become an animator in Hollywood. She married Arthur Babbitt. She married Arthur Babbitt, the Disney animator who animated Dopey in the Snow White Disney film. 44 years ago, the Auschwitz Museum in Poland contacted her to come and identify certain paintings that had come into their hands. Signed Dina, they were hers. And when she asked to have her paintings back, the Auschwitz Museum in Poland refused, saying they now belong to the museum. Bad guys often think they are good guys because they are doing good things. But we must have ethics, we must have principles, and we must have morality in the world. Does the Auschwitz Museum think that Dina and her daughters will not loan the work for times every year to the museum and display copies as they now do in place of the originals? Must the state always win over the individual, even now? I need your help. I do this all the time. I need your help because I'm good at begging. Sucking up and begging is what I do. I need your help getting those paintings back into the hands of her surviving daughters. This half of the room. Disney, by the way, I did a comic book based on her life, and Disney, the company, was good enough to motion comic or animate Dina Babbitt's story and add it to 3 releases of 3 films for American distribution and world distribution to tell this story. We still haven't gotten the paintings back. I hope we do. I think we will. We keep working at it. But these are the kind of things that I get involved in. These are the kind of things I do. I was going to tell you about Work Made for Hire. Work Made for Hire is something that's used on freelance creators all over the world. I'm not going to do it tonight because goodwill requires me to say, you guys ought to study Work Made for Hire because it does get in the way of all the good things that we do in America. We are Americans, and this is the greatest country in the world. And we deserve to have the rules applied to everyone, especially freelance contractors, because you know what? They're going to create great stuff for companies, for corporations, for themselves, and they're going to share it because you know what? That's the smart thing to do. Thank you very much.